yeah, I don't know if I don't really tell that story.
At some point, it broke me, but it built me.
Overnight, it was just like, wow, it's like it was gone.
Sales is just in general a skill that we need to learn in life.
It's going to be slow. It's going to be painful.
That's what it is. Hi, my beautiful people. I'm your skin therapist, Kate, and this is my podcast, Get Under My Skin, where I dive deep into the tough but beautiful world of aesthetics. Today, I have a very interesting guest. He's the founder of a company that's called Patient Engine. So no matter where you at in the industry, from brainstorming, startup, or already established business, listen up until the end. There's going to be a lot of valid information. Hi, Neal.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, you had a little bit of trip, right? You came here from Georgia to Chicago. How was your trip?
It's good. I live in 2 hours away from about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from the nearest airport. So there's always a commute involved.
Okay.
But I did get a chance to stop at my own spa as well, which is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm sure we can get to that at some point and see my amazing consultant at that spa as well. So it's always good to be able to make the trip a little bit more productive.
100%. Make the best of it.
Yes.
Right? Well, let's just jump into the rapid fire questions to kind of warm it up and get to know you better. How
Sounds
does
good.
it sound? Perfect. Well, let's get started. Just answer them, whatever first comes in mind. Don't overthink it. One word that describes your entrepreneurial journey so far.
Whoa. Challenging.
Okay.
Challenging.
Chicago or Georgia?
Excuse me?
Chicago or Georgia?
Georgia.
Georgia. Coffee or energy drink to power
Coffee.
through the day? Look at you. You didn't even think it fit there. Biggest business pet peeve?
I really don't like when I've talked to a lot of my entrepreneur friends about this, when we fulfill the work, and whether it's at my spa or in the agency, and we've done a good job and somebody has not paid us. So I think dishonest. I mean, I don't know if I want to call it dishonesty, but I guess dishonesty and just lack of integrity. Those are some of the biggest pet peeves for sure.
Does it happen a lot?
Does it happen a lot? I mean, it happens.
It happens.
More than once is
It's too many,
like,
right? Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it does happen anywhere, but we'll talk more about that. What's your go-to guilty pleasure TV show after a long day?
Oh, I don't watch too much TV at all. I don't even have a TV in inside of my house. I have TVs on the patios, but I would have to say
Maybe a book or a podcast.
I've been watching like this podcast, this kind of comedy stand-up podcast called Killed Tony. It's super funny. It's filmed in Austin, Texas. It's a little savage, but so that's been a little bit of my guilty pleasure, just having some laughs at the end of the day, because it can be a long day sometimes. So no TV, but a little bit of online content.
I love that. Biggest mistake you've ever made early in a business?
Biggest mistake you ever made early in the business? I think not. I think I would just probably hire some good talent faster, because when I started my agency, I was doing everything for a long time, or a lot of the tasks I could have probably delegated, offloaded, and like we grew really fast, but probably could have grew fast and also had a little bit more time and sanity, you could say, in the process. But those are some of the lessons you learn, fortunately and unfortunately.
That's very true. Describe your style in 3 words: personal or business. Your choice.
My style?
Yeah. Like just your lifestyle.
My lifestyle.
Like the business or personal. I would say in 3 words.
My lifestyle. Describe my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Definitely adventurous. Definitely, I enjoy taking risks. But I also feel like I am balanced as well.
Okay. Okay, those are three really good ones. Well, after all, how about we just jump into some meet and greet of get under my skin
Let's do it.
and start a little backdated before the business comes in. Is I feel like the childhood is very important. I grew up myself in Russia, and I would say my childhood, though maybe at some point it broke me, but it built me and it made me who I am right now. So I just want to learn about your background.
Yeah, I grew up in Poland, actually.
Really?
I did. I grew up in Poland from 3 to 12. And I feel like if I want to tie stuff back to childhood and or tie entrepreneurship to childhood, I remember when, kids, I feel like don't play outside as much as they used to because of technology. It's just unfortunate. But I remember when we played, we played store or having to shop, and then it was like you would like trade rocks for leaves and all that. It was silly at the time.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's how I learned how to talk and negotiate. And it was like 5 years old, So that was one of the things that stood out to me and I was always good at talking to people and stuff like that. So my dad was a jack of all trades, and he did a lot of things, many of which I don't even remember or he didn't even tell me about, or my brother. But we grew up fairly, I would say, poor. But then my dad actually started to become an entrepreneur, and he was like, hey, now that the Soviet Union came down, I can go to China and start bringing fabrics and accessories and apparel from China to Poland. So I remember that when I was younger, and we kind of, things kind of really hit for him and started going really well. And this was when the 90s were a good time for markets, right? In Europe. So he had a stand, and then he got another stand and another stand and another stand. And then at some point, the thing just blew up. So he had a bunch of stands, and he was selling crazy volume of these, this apparel. And this is when Chinese stuff was actually really good quality at this point.
At that point, yeah.
We know how that's gone since. But, and then he started a styrofoam factory, which is crazy. I had no idea.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. I had no idea how that happened.
Yeah.
So he started a styrofoam factory with a partner, and he used to, I think, he used to go to East Asia a lot, and because he was the packaging vendor for the TV division of Samsung and Daewoo for Eastern Europe. So that was his big client, which I don't even know how he got them, to be honest. I don't know.
Did you ever talk to him?
I don't know the details. He was very closed off a lot. He was very closed off in a lot of his ventures, So he didn't, and he also wasn't too present when he was working with us. He was very focused on winning. That was his thing. I just had to win. I had to grow the businesses as much as possible, and then the kids kind of got some material gifts. In the meantime, but he traveled to East Asia a lot, and I remember we just have we go to these luncheons with these executives, and that's when he would teach us the mannerisms and culture of East Asia, and we had to sit on our knees and use chopsticks properly. It was
very interesting.
It was wild. So we had this period where it was we kind of went from rags to kind of riches, and we lived in a nicer place, had the nicer experiences, all that stuff. And then eventually he kind of just overnight, and I still don't know the exact details of it, but we lost it all. The styrofoam factory went down, and then that affected some of his other businesses, and overnight it was just wow, it's it was gone. So that really taught me, one, I think that some of the lessons based on what I know out of experience were just be careful who you go into business with. Build cash when you have it, and don't just take it out of the bank or spend it, especially when you're a small business. And I know I see a lot of this in aesthetics. People are just using their businesses who said this. One of my buddies said this, but they're using it as like a lifestyle business where it's like I'm making money and then I'm supporting myself, but but I'm not really reinvesting in my business to grow it. It's more like
It's more of like just like a paycheck to paycheck kind of
right. And I don't think that's a way to grow a business if that's what but everybody's got different goals. So it just taught me. I think it taught me also to like really have more balance and be more present with the people that you love, because he wasn't really present when he was, diving into his entrepreneurial stuff, and he was traveling pretty much gone and stuff. So that's kind of, that shaped a lot about my business journey. I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and it was how and when, not an if. And but here we are today. So that's, I don't know if I don't really tell that story pretty openly, but I felt like it was relevant to tell.
I think so.
To your question.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing. I think childhood is a base for every person, no matter how it is. And from that base, when we grow up, we decide which path to take. It could be for better or worse, but you're the one who's deciding how to use it.
For sure.
So that's why I always like to learn, like, what was your base? Where did you start it? What skills do you feel like you learned the most that like brought you where you're at right now, besides like, saving? Like, what pushed you to go in this industry or like take the path that you did? You think
into aesthetics or into entrepreneurship specifically?
Entrepreneurship, I know, but more like aesthetics wise.
So what skills?
Yeah.
What skills I learned? I mean, I think maybe two different questions, right? So one would push me into. So I think I always liked marketing. I really enjoy psychology a lot. So I figured marketing would be a good industry to go into. And obviously digital marketing has been on the rise like crazy. Super oversaturated right now. But it's definitely, I definitely felt like I would fit in well within that business niche. And I always knew that I needed to learn how to sell. So when you're first starting out, you don't have a lot of social proof. You don't have a lot of experience. So you kind of have to learn from other people, or just really develop the confidence in your voice, in your ability to sell. Every business, especially service businesses, they need, like, I think a lot of consumer products, services are more reliant on marketing, and then service businesses, people buy from people, so you really need to develop that sales acumen. So, and then I think 90+% of CEOs have sales experience. So
I feel like sales is just in general a skill that we need to learn in life. I feel like you sell anything to anybody.
Well, you're not just selling in a business. You're always selling to somebody else. You're selling your ideas.
Ideas.
You
try to sell, something to your kids so they can like dress themselves or whatever.
Dating.
Dating.
Sell is selling. You're, like I said, you're trying to convey your viewpoints, your influence and stuff like that. So you're always selling. I run a nonprofit as well, and we're selling impact, to people for being able to raise donations. So you're always selling. So that has to come down to like understanding psychology of influence, communication styles, personality types, understanding purchasing decisions and behavior, stuff like that. So
that's very true. So after what path did you take going like to college? You were already here. When did you move to the United States?
Moved back to the United. I was born in the U.S. I moved back when I was 12.
Oh, so you were born in the U.S. You
grew up in Poland. Yep, came back when I was 12.
Okay.
I don't really like talking about school that much because I don't feel like it's a very
good experience.
No, I mean,
I didn't have.
I guess one of my hot takes is that college is a very it can be a very wasteful investment. Depending on what you're studying. I have friends who are software engineers who really benefited from going to college. And I have a lot of friends like me who just, I have a double major and a minor in business, and, I always say I'm a really good beer pong player, So, I think.
Was it helpful?
Yeah, I know. A lot of what I would develop was actually doing the work, right? So I had when I was 18, 19, I started an events company at all the like nightlife venues and hotels in Chicago, and we would throw fashion show themed events, and then like we added like cool special features to them. Then we started doing some music stuff. So that's when
you did that when you were in college?
I did that when I was 19. Yeah.
Okay, so that was your,
all these venues were letting me in underage. It was great. So I won't mention names. You know who you are. But
okay, that's like your starting of entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
right?
I figured, so I was doing modeling stuff, and then I was doing promoting, and then I was working in the bars and stuff like that, and then I was working for another events company, and I was like, man, I can just do this myself. I'm just gonna try, because I wanted to do something more. I wanted to do something bigger. So that's how I put myself through school. And we did over 100 events. I think it was like 140 events in 5 years. It's a lot of events.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot, but it was fun.
So is it just like any events, or just like a fashion show like you mentioned?
Yeah, so we would create like a theme for the night, and then we would center it around the show, and we would call it there were cool names. So like we worked at Spy Bar, for example, and it was a small venue, but they really liked doing something different. And it was 2009 and on. It was right after the economy collapsed, so people needed more of a reason to go out. So these themed events were like special, right? They stood out. So we had this event, and we would just like source like. We would work with like bikini like designers and stuff like in boutiques, right? And we would transform the club into like a beach. So we would have beach balls and like tiki torches, which were probably fire hazards. But
that's a neat idea.
And then bartenders would like dress up in bikinis, and then we would have like fake sand, and like we would then we'd have the fashion show, and it was just like a massive party, right? And everybody loved it. So we did that, and we duplicated a bunch of other venues, and eventually we ended up getting like recurring events at these venues, which was really cool. So that's how I kind of learned how to do marketing, events marketing, talk to people, proposals,
communication,
brand, all that stuff. So that was like my first start. And then when I got out of school, I was like, I don't even know what to do with my life, because I was doing these events. I'm still doing events at this point. And I took a couple of contractor roles as a financial analyst, and I mean, it was cool to learn a skill set, but it just was not me at all. And then I finally got a job at this middle market investment bank, and they were like, "Hey, you just don't, you got to stop doing these shows. Like, it's not on brand with us." So I was like, "All right, I'm gonna."
Pause it there.
Yeah, I'm gonna just wrap this up. So I started working in finance and banking, and then I got into consulting, and I was a consultant for many years, and that definitely sharpened my skill set and ability to think critically. But then at some point, I think it was just I was getting that entrepreneurial itch, and I was like, I think it's getting to that time. So, but 2017 was like my first, or I guess my next entrepreneurial venture, and that was the charity that we still run, Street Samaritans.
So you started that before your company? Okay.
Yeah. So that was like my first like gig in a sense, but it was unpaid, right? Like we've never gotten paid for doing anything.
You're saying we?
Me and my co-founder Melanie. But that was like the start. Like when I knew, like I was like, I really like building things from the ground up, like founding stuff. Like I really like building like cool brands. So that was that was like my first venture, because ultimately when you're seeking donations, especially I was from a lot of my friends at the time, I was like, hey, like I need you to support me and help me with this cause. You're basically selling it, right? So then we built this organization from ground up, and it's still obviously functional and better than ever today. But that was my first entrepreneurial, or maybe I guess you could say second after the events business.
Yeah. So how did you get to the idea as your co-founder of your nonprofit?
I was in, I was doing a lot of volunteering at other organizations. I had filmed this independent documentary a few years back called Street Life Faces Uncovered. Super low budget, took a long time to film.
Was it fun?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely very educational and enlightening. And we interviewed like shelter directors, people in the streets, just people that we encountered that were just walking around the streets of Chicago too. And I just realized it was something that it was just really a challenging cause that was really close to my heart. So I was working downtown. I was facing a lot of, it was just internal kind of just discomfort when I was talking to a lot of homeless individuals. So
seeing like the other side of different lives that we don't always talk about it.
Yeah.
The images. Yeah.
So I wanted to do something, ironically enough, we have our gala tonight, which is going to be awesome. So I'm really excited for that. And
can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So, I was writing my speech last night on the plane, and the theme of it is gratitude. So I've been thinking about how thankful I am about being able to, like, having to gone through this entire experience with the nonprofit. And this event is like one of our biggest fundraisers. It allows us to, to fuel. I think it's like, I want to say, somebody from our organization is going to correct me on the financials, but like 20 to 30% of our annual revenues from this gala. So it's a big event for us, and we have a lot of amazing sponsors, beautiful nights in the West Loop. I super excited because this event like really allows us to also get more publicity and talk about some of the amazing impact we've had as an organization. So, so the nonprofit definitely was like a big catalyst for professional growth. Because mind you, it's not the goal isn't to make money, but you need to make money to help other people.
Absolutely.
The impact is the outcome of what you do in a nonprofit, and it's how we measure our success. So that was 2017. And then 2019, I started a company with my cousin. After actually seeing that, he actually helped me design the brand for the nonprofit. And I was like, man, you're awesome. Maybe I'll just sell your stuff, So we called it They Do. Just two guys, they do, action takers, doers. And we started selling these, selling websites and brands, and then we started making ads and stuff like that. So we learned as we went, but we had his experience, my project management, sales, and consulting experience. And we eventually got pretty decent sized contracts, and it was cool. We were doing well for ourselves, but it was super tough. I mean, I think that project agency space is pretty crazy, and you have to have deep relationships. But we did one project, and it was from Startup Med Spa. So it's all tied in here. And we did a website, brand design for them website, and they really liked what they were seeing at the time. And they were doing body sculpting, is where kind of my agency started. Yeah. And they asked me to run a campaign for them. I think it was Facebook ads. And they were like, yeah, you guys do Facebook ads? We're like, of course we do Facebook ads. We've never done that. We've never done Facebook ads. And
you fake it until you make it, right?
Yeah, I threw this really simple ad together. I wrote the copy, and it was this device is better than this device. It was a girl holding a sign, and it was super simple, but this is when Facebook ads was still not super convoluted. And I threw it up, and it was just blew up. The campaign did super well. We got a ton of interest. For anybody in marketing, we got $3 leads, which you don't ever see these days.
$3 leads.
$3 leads. It was awesome. It was.
Please bring it to me.
Right. So yeah, I mean, totally different world. And then these guys, and then the lockdowns happened in Chicago, and these guys were like, they just decided to shut down. And I was like, well, you're making just a bad move. Fast forward, I decided that I wanted to do something with recurring revenue, with marketing, with small business rather than bigger businesses. I hired a coach who had a marketing agency, and then I ran with it. I first started in chiropractic. It failed. It failed. I got told no like 40 times. And then I was like, okay, I got to pivot. I got to find an niche. And I thought to myself, man, I did this campaign.
It worked really well.
Like I kind of know the med spa stuff a little bit. So then I was like, okay, I think this aesthetic stuff is going to blow up. I'm putting my money on it. So I put my savings in, invested.
And that's when we're talking about?
That was 2020.
2020.
2020.
Okay, so you're like a COVID time.
Yeah. It was definitely an interesting time. It wasn't easy for sure, because that's when people were still like reluctant. 2020 and 2021, people were still reluctant about going into places. So it definitely wasn't easy, but we just kind of, I learned everything I could, and we just ran with it, and rest is history.
Okay, interesting.
So the body sculpting and aesthetics niche was a good bet. It was a good bet. So I mean, it's one of the fastest growing industries in the U.S., right?
It is.
Everybody wants to look good.
But I feel like it's like a blessing and a curse, because it's growing so fast, and there are a lot of new practices are opening, a lot of new technologies are coming out. You always have to stay on the top of it, but you also have to filter what are you bringing in. And some people, I find, because of this huge expansion and because of the social media and everything, they kind of lose a little bit of trust in the industry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Maybe not a little bit, maybe a lot of it, because of again, TikTok recommendations. You use that, you don't use that, or everybody who's trying to sell you that, they're wrong, and everybody's kind of putting on each other, and you don't even know who to believe in.
There is a massive distrust for most service providers in general, but especially in aesthetics. People have had a bad experience with somebody, and that's why I do a lot of coaching and education that, about like offers. Like you need to have a really strong offer to be able to put it in front of your target audience, because you don't have an offer, then you're likely going to lose to your competition. That's one. And two, people need a reason to engage with you, because we talk a lot about, it used to be you could talk a lot about filling pain points or benefits, or like, hey, this is how we're different or better, like as a med spa, for example, like we can help you do this. But nowadays it's like offers. Offers are king, and that's why I educate my prospects and my clients that like you have to have a good introductory offer to be able to actually have a relationship or initiate a relationship with your clients or patients before they buy a bigger package from you, or a treatment plan, or they decide to come back to you, or sign up for a membership. So people buy from people.
100%. They do.
It's not just buying. We're not selling devices or services. We're selling transformations.
Absolutely.
And we're as an agency, for example, we're helping to match people who have a certain need with our clients that are providers.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely you sell the results. I feel like it's not enough anymore to just say, well, this is all you need. I know better, and just kind of walk away. You got to build that relationship. You got to build a strong brand for people to like watch you and trust you and find that connection. But it's interesting you said about the offer. I hear a lot of different things from different people in the industry. Some say, put the initial offer that is really good for them to kind of miss out and come in. But some don't want to lower the prices because, you just don't want to discount your work. And then it's harder to upsell something they already bought half off, and now they have to pay full price for it.
I have a lot to say on this.
Yeah, please.
I have a lot to say
I want to hear
for
about
sure.
it.
Once again, if you don't have an offer, you just unless you're spending tens of thousands of dollars of crazy brand awareness, right? And you're an established practice, you have to have an offer because everybody else around you has an offer, right? And we're just competing and figure out who's going to have the more irresistible value stacked offer. It's really what it comes down to, right? What can you provide to your target audience as an introductory offer that's going to catch their attention? Because we're competing not only for people's money but time and attention. So if I see an offer that looks good, I'm likely going to give somebody a shot. So what I tell my clients a lot is when somebody comes in for an introductory offer, you need to have a process, right? And the process has to start with a good introduction and first impression, but also a very thorough consultation. And that shifts the mindset away from the offer to actually people's pain points and the things that they want to accomplish. And it really helps them to start thinking about that transformation rather than the offer. So if somebody understands the retail value of what they're getting, so let's just say it's 50% off. Like at my spa, we do 50% off for your first introductory treatments. I think we give them 2 treatments for like $249 or something like that. Usually like price points in aesthetics, $149 to $249 for an intro offer. So we give them 2 body sculpting treatments for $249. It sounds like an insane offer. And I love that because to me, we have a really good process. So after somebody comes in, my consultant, Ashley, she doesn't even really talk about the offer. It's more so like, hey, here's the process, fill out the forms. Let's talk about your needs. Let's talk about all the areas and parts of your body that you need help with. What do you need help with? Do you need slimming, toning, skin tightening, fat cellulite reduction? What do you need? And then that shifts the conversation away from the offer. So they already forgot about the offer, and now it's like now we're setting the tone for a long-term partnership. And of course, not everybody's always going to buy from that, but you're going to get people to come back, and if you can upsell at a good percentage, you're going to make a really good return on your investment in marketing, right? So to me, I'm in a camp of you have to have a strong initial offer, and if you don't, why am I going to see you, right? It's unless I come referred, right?
Right.
Which is helpful. Referrals are king. We know that. Right. Happy clients. Right? Results equals happy clients equals referrals, right? So when you get those, like we close pretty much everybody that we get from referrals. It's awesome because we're able to multiply that we create more success stories. But when you're going to mass marketing, right, to 100,000 people, like those 100,000 people are likely getting hit with other ads, other offers. Your offer needs to be better. So are you going to discount your services? I don't even think you need to discount your services. Just you're going to provide more value for a lower price initially until you're able to have a relationship, until you're able to build trust and make people feel comfortable and safe and secure, being that there's a lot of distrust in this industry. And then you can actually start pitching them some of these bigger ticket items, right? People don't buy $10,000 treatment plans off the internet typically, right? Off of ads, unless they're really specifically looking proactively for that particular treatment at that particular time, which for most of treatments in our industry, that's likely not the case.
Yeah, that's very true. Oh, I feel like it's a battle, but it's very interesting intake, Nada. I like it. You mentioned that you kind of focusing mainly in body sculpting, right?
My spa does. It's called Iconic Spa. We do body sculpting and some non-invasive facial aesthetics. But my company, Patient Engine, we market for non-invasive body sculpting, facial aesthetics. So anything non-invasive or minimally invasive. So we do microneedling, facelifts, hydrofacials. What else do we do? Skin pen, microneedling. We do some, and then we do Botox and injectables too. And then we also do weight loss. We have, I think, 20 or 30 weight loss clients as well. So
we're talking about like injections and
So that's kind of that's what our focus has been, and we like to kind of stick within those niches because that's where we're really strong. I think we're maybe potentially going to get into laser hair removal, which historically hasn't performed well in ads, but I feel like it's coming back and we've had some success with it. So that's a particular sub niche that we may also explore. But body sculpting is great because you're able to sell these big packages, get a good ROI right up front. Facial aesthetics is good because you're able to either retain clients or sell transformational plans for holistic skincare or aesthetics. And, weight loss sells really well right now. I don't know for how long. It's a pricing bloodbath right now. Everybody's trying to sell weight loss. It's, this gold rush where only few will, I think, really, really win long term. But
and it's like you don't know how long it's going to last. That's the thing.
No.
So let's just get back a little bit. You said you started the company originally with your cousin, right? Well, the marketing, more of like
the agency. Yeah, that was like our creative agency. And then we did that for about a year. He went back into the industry. I went to start Patient Engine.
So you kind of split.
Yeah. We had a good conversation. He's doing his own thing, and he's actually getting back into entrepreneurship right now, which is awesome. I started Patient Engine by
yourself.
By myself. Correct.
Okay. How do you decided to kind of expand and delegate, and how were you finding the right people for your business?
I think it was just my personal network at first. That's really, it was. I think I would say that I probably would have started hiring externally sooner. But we grew really fast with the team we've had, and a lot of those folks came from a friend of a friend or a family member, stuff like that. So that's kind of how our business, how we attracted or acquired team members, you could say. And it was at first it was just super opportunistic, like, hey, like, could you do this? Right. And then afterwards we kind of started finding out who the ideal candidates were with certain skill sets. We have a lot of teachers that came to work for us, and
teachers.
Teachers. They're actually awesome. So
for what positions?
Account management and our lead conversion kind of hybrid sales team. So we had a lot of teachers, which is interesting. Come to us. My director of client success, she's actually, by the grace of God, she came from another med spa, and she started at the bottom, just grew very tremendously in a year. So she became a director in a year, which is cool. Very cool success story as well. And so she came with industry experience. So now we actually just hired somebody from another agency as well to help us with creative strategy. So I think we're just being a little bit more intentional and strategic with the hires that we make. But
and the way you go. Yeah. You mentioned that you started with close circle hiring. My personal rule that I try to stick to it is not to deal with friends and family or close to it. I guess I just get burned from that, and they decided just not to try it because otherwise you lose people.
You have to set boundaries for boundaries for sure.
Have you had experiences like that?
I mean, there's definitely been challenges for sure. And like I said, there has to be clear expectations. You have to set clear boundaries between. My brother works for my company,
really?
And he, he doesn't report to me, so that it's not there's no conflicts of interest really. It's more so he knows what his job is, and he's he's done a tremendous job, and he's grown a lot in his role. So yeah, I think it's, we have this like interesting hybrid, and it's worked for us. But we're always like we look for referrals from our existing team members, but we also look towards the market as well to see if we can attract some good talent, which that's what we've done recently for our sales and creative strategy.
And I heard you really take time to kind of create the environment in the company that helps people to grow, right?
Yeah, I think we're working on it. I think it's a work in progress, but we're trying to make sure that that's one of our initiatives, just trying to make sure that there's some sort of a outline growth path as we're want to continue to grow, which I think next year is going to be really big for us. But not things like financial incentives, but also things that are going to help people just level up.
Mm-hmm. What about, there is a lot of competition, we just said, in the aesthetic industry, and you do want to stand out, or you want to find a better offer to bring people in. But I'm sure there's a lot of competition in your industry as well. There's a lot of marketing teams. There's a lot of consulting teams. There's a lot of people that, like, in my DMs all the time, I'm going to bring you 100 new clients, and then you'll pay me
1,000
later.
New clients in 10 days.
So how do you deal with the competition? Or how is your company?
I don't know. We talk about this a lot with my circle of friends, but I see ads all the time, and it's just basically our ad that's getting copied.
Really?
It's the creativity is stifling, but and
it's usually not in a good way.
No. Yeah, these crazy offers and guarantees are insane. I don't buy into that, because I feel like there's the right client will see through past the bullshit. Mm-hmm. So we just try to, I think we want to spend more than our competition per se, because we want to be always seen and in front of people. So maybe they won't buy right off the spot, but they'll remember us. Like I meet a lot of people who are like, yeah, I see your ads all the time, which is helpful, because it also, I'm a marketing agency. I should be out there, right? I should be marketing myself. So how do we, we have a good offer, and we've tried to focus more on the pain points that we can solve. We talk about our offer as well, but other than that, we just try to be better. We just try to have the results speak for themselves. Where we have the most documented YouTube case studies in our industry. I think we have over 100. We just hit, I think, 100 here a couple weeks ago. So that's a huge social proof. There's no other aesthetics marketing agency that has as many case studies as we do. So we have, you're either going to go to work with an agency that's maybe just started, and they make you get this crazy guarantee, right? I'll bring you 100 clients, or you don't pay, and then you never get any clients, right? Mm-hmm. Or you just waste your money, right? Or end up getting burnt. So I think we just try to be a little bit more honest and kind of realistic with the expectations we set, and just let people know, like, hey, sometimes you're going to have to invest more money. Like, this is how much it costs to acquire a new patient, etc.
But you still offer the guarantee.
We do have a guarantee, yes. It's more of a cushion and a safety net than anything, and I think clients appreciate that if times do get rough. But other than that, yeah, and we have some cool partnerships with some other companies that send us their clients as well that we can help.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of the guarantee and everything, like what do you guarantee to a client that would be coming into you?
Our typical guarantee is like anywhere between 10 to 15 booked new patients on your calendar with a deposit credit card on file every single month. Mm-hmm. Obviously, depending on how much ad spend they're putting in, that number can really vary. And, we have some clients who are getting 15 and 20. We have some clients who are getting 40, 50, really depends on how much you're investing.
A month, we're talking
about. Mm-hmm. How much you're investing into the ad budget. Mm-hmm. So how much you're putting out there in we're a meta agency, so Facebook and Instagram or Google if you if
Really
that's
want
something
to
that
get
you're want to test. The market you're in, so more competitive markets that are more saturated with providers are going to be more expensive to advertise in, right? So it's cheaper to advertise in rural Alabama than it is to advertise in Chicago, right? Makes sense. And it's also less competition. So your results, actually, I love I love these, I call them tier 3 markets. Like I kind of want to just open more spas in these like smaller towns because there's a lot of people that have these needs and pain points, but there's just not a lot of competition. So typically if we have a rural client and put out an ad out there, I mean, we get a lot of great like response because
I've never seen that before.
Right. They're like, oh, I didn't know I could, do something with my body or face, right? Like, it's cool. Like, there's an offer here. Wow. So that's one. And then...
But there's also controversy about, like, people in different area, they might not care about their certain things, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think it was up to an agency to be able to generate that demand, right? Mm-hmm. So you kind of you create these pain points in some ways, right? You play into people's psyche a little bit to be like, hey, you should consider this, and that's what that's what marketing is. It's influence, right? It can be good or bad, and so area is important. Competition, saturation is important. Seasonality is really important, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, it's facial aesthetics is doing really well versus first 6 months out of the year, body does really well. Mm-hmm. Right now, for example, weight loss is a little bit more competitive because it's slower. Mm-hmm. People are not looking to improve as much as they would in the first 6 months out of the year. Mm-hmm. So area, competitiveness, seasonality, I would say how much you're putting in matters a lot, obviously, because the more you spend, the more you're going to get. And I always say that ad spend is a good way to offset the slow times and the bad times. Mm-hmm. And in hot times, it's just a good way to scale. And then the last thing is your offer, which we've already covered. But the better your offer, the more interested people you're going to get. So those are the key factors. So depending on those factors, you may get variable results. But our goal is just to get as many people on your calendar, serious customers, serious patients with credit card deposit on file, which is going to increase your show rate, and to help you and coach you on how to convert these clients from this initial offer that we talked about into being a long-term patient that is buying high-ticket stuff on a treatment plan, on a membership, coming back and getting your referrals.
So you're pretty much coaching people from the beginning until they're...
Yeah, I mean, depending on where people come to us in their journeys, like we kind of figure out where to help them with. But, the success formula is pretty simple. Invest a lot of money into paid ads, get as many people on your calendar, and convert as many people into long-term patients, get them amazing results, and then get as many referrals as possible. It's
as well as that, right?
I'm oversimplifying, but it doesn't need to be that difficult. I know that the journey in itself can be a lot more complex and difficult, but that's the success formula.
Okay. How many clients in general, like standard, you would say you bring like to a clinic?
It really depends. Probably 15 to 30 is like our range that we see per month. And like I said, depending on the ad spend. Maybe what's like maybe more.
What's the range that you recommend for people to spend on ads?
Oh, hot question. It really depends how much money you want to make. Mm-hmm. Right? So I always tell people, hey, in your area, it's not very competitive. It's probably going to cost you $100 in ad spend to acquire a client. Mm-hmm. So they're like, okay, I want 30 clients. Well, you're going to spend $3,000 on ad spend. And if your area is more competitive, that number will be higher that you're going to have to spend to acquire a new patient, right? So recommendations are based on goals, typically, right? And if you're looking for miracles, they don't exist. People always think like, oh, I'm going to make we ask people, how much do you want to make? Oh, I want to make 30,000 more in a month. We're like, okay, well, here's your numbers. Like if your average ticket is 2,000 for an upsell, and you're getting, then you're going to have to, let's just say you're going to have to sell 15 packages, right? To get to that 30,000. And if you sell at 50%, you're going to have to get 30 new customers in the door. Well, in your area, it's probably going to cost you, $200 to acquire this customer. That's $6,000 on ads, right? That's still a 5 times return, which is amazing on this ad budget. So, and but a lot of people have false expectations. They're like, no, I just want to spend a couple $1,000s. I'm like, well, then maybe you believe in the miracles.
Miracles do happen, but they're also life. Right?
Yeah, like the campaign I put together in 2020 was a miracle, and
sometimes it hits. You're chasing the miracle. Sometimes you catch it.
In business, I wouldn't count on miracles. I would.
Yeah.
You want to try to build something that's predictable.
Right. Yeah. What would you recommend for, let's say, like smaller businesses or like startups to pay attention?
I knew you were going to ask me this question because it's like, there are people who are like starting out smaller or bootstrapped and stuff like that. And we may not always be able to help these entrepreneurs, but I would say for me, it's like,
why wouldn't you be able to help yourself?
Because a lot of them maybe aren't in the mindset of spending that type of capital, right? Mm-hmm. To be able to get, I think paid ads is, so if I was to say like, what's the fastest way to grow your aesthetics business? Paid ads for sure. That's where 80% of my clients come from. And then the rest of them are going to be either partner or client referrals. That's to me, you could say there's other channels. Sure. I don't think they work as well. And I think they take a long time. And for me, it's like paid ads, get with an agency that you can trust to get you as many patients as possible. And then you get you get your clients amazing results. Ask every happy client for a referral, and then have a partnership. At my spa, we partner with a hairstylist who's amazing, who's a client of ours, and she refers us to everybody because she's getting amazing results, and we also incentivize her to do so. All right. So for somebody who's starting out, they don't have a lot of cash. Well, you have to figure out how to get cash. So plan for that, because otherwise you might just be kind of stagnant. Mm-hmm. But if you're setting ambitious goals for yourself, you can just be prepared that you're going to have to invest, right? When I first started out my business, I was like, paid ads, let's go. Like, yeah, I have to. It's like, it's a necessary evil in a sense. And for somebody that doesn't have a lot of cash, I would say you probably have to, one, really drive results through your network. Like, I would sell to everybody I could, right? If I was starting a spa and I didn't have a lot to invest in paid ads, I would just sell everybody I could, for sure, like around me, and just let that snowball a little bit. It's going to be slow. It's going to be painful. Asking your friends and family to buy shit from you is...
I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Though, you know what? I talked about it on other podcasts. Sometimes you find more support from random people than your friends and family.
Yeah. So that's what I would do. And I would also, really create these partnerships, and where it's somebody who's already has an existing clientele, and then you pay them, for every customer that comes in or every treatment plan that you sell, and just have a few of those partnerships where you don't have to put anything up front. But that's, like I said, it's going to be that, this organic selling and partnerships are going to be, they can work, but they're slow. Yeah. Whereas paid ads, you're like, let's go, let's turn this on. We're going to get this in front of our audience. We're going to start getting fast, tangible results.
And I can relate to that. Like I went solo about less than a year ago, 10 months ago. And until the moment I really started investing in the paid ads, it was really painful. Though I had, I've been in the industry for 6 years, and I did have my clientele, and I did had some following, but different times hits, and you can't always rely on that.
I would also add a little bit to that, because I know you do this quite a bit by content. Like, if you have the time, or if you don't have the resources, and you can really get good at content and have a unique story to tell,
I'm trying.
And a way to visualize, to help other people visualize what you can offer for them as a provider, as an aesthetics provider, then that's another channel. Like I said, it's just a little bit slower. Maybe you hit a couple of virals, which will be cool. But if you can get in front of an audience in your local proximity, that would be another way. But
which I try to do both.
Yeah.
Like I have my social media assistant, and we try to create this more unique content that stands out, that is a bit different, that explains more, that maybe funny in some way that people can remember. And with time, it wasn't right away, but with time, you start, it does look like more of brand, because when people come in, they're already expecting something, like the color match. Like, I've had clients, they're coming in, and my studios, everything is orange, and they would like purposely wear something orange because they're just excited to be there. But it's more of like the emotional that hit, and it does take longer, and I'm trying to explore both ways. But paid ads, I would say, definitely a main source right now from bringing new clients.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
It's an interesting industry. But what would you say, let's say, as a startup that looking to hire marketing agency? Obviously, your agency probably would
startup
be the
looking to hire a marketing agency.
What would you recommend for startups to look to it? Like, what are the key points to try to like avoid or look for to find the right agency for them?
Yeah, I mean, you can go with somebody who's cheaper and who may or may not get you results. So there's definitely more risk there. I would look for an agency that has a track record, right? Like, that's what's really important for us to build this case study YouTube channel, because we have the track record. We worked with 500 people in the last 4 years or more than that. So I think track record's huge. And, some sort of a guarantee. I think it's contractual guarantees important. And you just want to make sure they're the right fit for you. But doing it yourself is, I guess, another avenue. It's just the learning curve is just steep. And then, like, we can provide you a lot of value for the cost of hiring, a professional who's maybe got one skill set. We generate the leads, we actually book you to clients, and we coach you and train you. So that's kind of like, for us, we just want to make sure we have that 3-pronged model to be able to address a lot of our clients' pain points. Because there's agencies that maybe just do coaching only. There's agencies that maybe just do lead generation only, or kind of just try to be more of a growth partner. So it really depends. Like, if you have a lead generation agency that may be a little less expensive and you want to call the leads, it's painful, and it's you have to spend a lot of time on it and have a good system and nurturing for it, then it's an avenue that you can take. So it's just depending on how fast you want to grow, really.
Right.
And are you looking to somebody to just help you solve one pain point or multiple pain points at the same time?
Right. It's a very good advice. And since you mentioned the YouTube, I got to remind people to subscribe to my channel. But from there, let's move into, I know how hard it is to start a business. And especially you mentioned that you did it for yourself for a little bit, right? There was just you, and I'm sure there were a lot of hours. Yeah.
Tons of hours.
How did you deal with this work-life balance that everybody's trying to achieve?
Oh, there was no work-life balance initially. Forget about that. But eventually find
the mental health in general. What's your intake on that? how did you deal with that?
Yeah,
How
I
did
guess,
that affect you?
Yeah, I guess a lesson out of that is being able to really, when you're first starting out, to be able to work extremely hard and dedicate a lot of time, but also take the time for yourself, for sure, which I didn't do initially. And it cost me in some other areas of my life, but definitely learned that lesson. But, I started my spa in March. I started building it in December. So it took me about 4 months to get all my stuff together. But I already had a blueprint then. And I had those lessons, and the spa has been really successful.
That's good. It's really good. But what do you do
Paid
now?
ads.
Paid ads. What do you do now to kind of decompress or like to try to find
Balance.
That balance that you never can reach, but at least.
I think travel is a big one is for me. I invest a lot in the travel. That's huge. I think just being outdoors and being active, moving, and detaching yourself from your phone and computer, I think it's super important, because if you're on a phone and a computer, maybe you're just like, oh, maybe I just could work a little bit more.
Yeah. Let me answer those emails.
It's not always, and it's not always healthy to do that. So
yeah, is it the reason why you moved to?
Yeah, part of it. Yeah, definitely is to have one venue for me, a place where I could find out a little bit more about myself and also be able to focus.
Okay, was it a recent move or?
It was no, it was 2022 that I moved.
Oh, okay. So it's a couple years.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
Interesting. And how do you like it?
Oh, it's definitely beautiful. I'm actually, ironically enough, openly thinking about moving somewhere else now, where I could have just a little bit of a better community. But
it's a little too deep into the country.
The sticks. No, it's beautiful. It's a great way. It's a great place to decompress and breathe and enjoy nature and spend time with your peeps. But yeah, I feel like it is a retreat in some ways.
I feel
it can be good and bad.
Yes, there are days when I live in the suburbs of Chicago, and normally kind of like my peaceful life there. But some days I want to go to the city and be more exposed there, and some days I just want to escape, sell everything, and just go live with a goat somewhere in the middle of nowhere and have my chickens and talk to nobody.
That's balance.
It's about the balance. Maybe one day I'll find it and I'll just kind of go back and forth, because I'm something like you're doing right now. But coming back a little bit to finding the marketing agency, like what's your company charges, like let's for the startup, to expect the budget wise, like for your services. We talked about it, like paid ads, and depends how many clients you want to bring, but what's the base initial investment that you need to make?
I don't think it's just my agency per se. I think any good agency is going to be probably a couple $1,000s a month or more that you want to hire. That could be $2,000 to $4,000 a month, plus the advertising budget. So, and I think a lot of people just get scared by those numbers, but like ultimately, you could, for $2,000, you can't hire somebody full time, right? So, but you're getting, like, for example, for us, you're getting these 3 different pain points that we're going to help you with. So,
and that's
you have to realize an agency has to make money too, right? And a lot of our margins, aren't that crazy high, right? So we're not making, even 1,000 on that 2,000, right? So, so typically,
but let's kind of breaking down the value.
You should expect to spend anywhere between 4 and 4 upwards for marketing plus spend, maybe more, maybe 5. Advertising is getting more expensive. It's definitely.
You mean together with the paid ads or separate? Yeah.
It's getting more expensive. Obviously, the more competition in a marketplace, the more expensive it's going to be. I think it's, like you said, depends what area you're in, especially, you're in a tier 1 metro market, you're going to expect to invest more because
it's higher competition.
Yeah. So that's going to vary. But when you think about it, you at least want to break even on your marketing. Everything from there is positive. So like if you're getting 2-3x on your investment, you've done a good job because you're likely going to be able to derive more value from these customers over a longer period of time. 3 to 5x is where we try to be with our customers is exceptional. Anything above that is amazing. So, that's I think that those, when we talked about miracles, right? Like you're likely not going to make, if you want to make $50,000 a month, you're probably going to have to spend 10 to 20% of that to get there, right? It's especially as you grow bigger, you're going to be able to realize that scale, and you're likely not going to have to spend as much because you already have built a business. But I think marketing, if you're wanting to grow, marketing is going to be one of your top expenses. For me, at my spa, it's marketing and labor. And then for some people, it's going to be, I don't know, if they're financing devices, that tends to be another big expense for them as well. Yeah. So those are the 3 big cost pools typically. But if you got devices, but you don't have customers to use them, then
there's no point of that. Exactly. So talked more about your spa that you just recently opened.
Yeah, so it's called Iconic Spa. IconicSpa.com is our website, and we do, like I said, non-invasive body sculpting. We are doing some non-invasive facial aesthetics. Interestingly enough, we're a small spa in a salon suite, but we have a really cool brand, and our spa is really well designed. Like the vibe, like all of our materials are really well branded and designed. Like we give treatment protocols, post-treatment protocols that's like, on a custom design as well. We have a good experience and robes and all that stuff. So everything's like catered to have like that higher end feel, even though we're in just a salon suite. So eventually we might, have actual physical locations, but we've done really well. I think in the last 6 months, we've served over 260 customers, new clients, which is
that's amazing.
Pretty amazing. Like I think we've done close to 250,000 in our first 6 months, which is really impressive for a very small new spa. And like I said, I attribute a lot of that success to my team at Patient Engine and their support and being able to acquire new patients. Our partnership with our lovely Shithia, which is the stylist that has sent us a lot of clients, and client referrals, like just happy clients. So, I talked a lot about the blueprint and the roadmap. Like that's really what it takes. Yeah. So everything that I teach and coach people on, we've implemented in my spa, and we're going to open up 3 more.
I love it. That's where I am in the salon suites right now.
You can. I think there's a lot of people in salon suites who are just building like a little personal brand or a little lifestyle business. It can be a lot bigger than that. It can be. It certainly can be.
But I feel like it gives you that feel, especially if you're just starting. I didn't have a blueprint, so I kind of had to figure out a lot of things myself. But it gives you that boost. That's obviously I might consider, moving up somewhere else, but I think it's a good base, because it gives you the space, ready space. Yes, you can redecorate it, but you don't have to worry about other stuff like utilities, the security, the cleaning outside of your room and everything like that, versus you can just focus on building your brand and your business in that moment. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. And more people opening up.
You can always get another suite.
Yeah.
We're thinking about doing that. And
I have a friend who literally almost took all hallway, and she just, rent them all up, and she's hiring more people, and they're all in the salon suites. Yeah. Now she has a different room just for like a reception area. She's like owning that salon suite at the point. So
I think it's important to, as far as goals for a spa, wherever you are, understanding your hourly revenue is huge because we're basically we're service providers, so we're selling labor or skilled labor. So that's been huge for me. It's like how many hours are we there and how much we're making, and so that's one of my big KPIs for success.
Figuring that out.
Yeah.
Well, it was really good conversation, and I learned a lot of new things. So thank you for sharing a lot of stuff.
Hot take?
Hot take. That's what I'm getting into. Tell me something that, will get under my skin at that point.
I don't know if it will or not, but like, I've been using beef tallow on my face, organic Wagyu beef tallow. And
oh my God.
I know that, there's going to be whoever's in skincare aesthetics, there are people who are going to they're going to agree, they might disagree. For me, it's been amazing. I really like it. And people are like,
what took you there? You woke up one day and like, let me order?
I like alternative stuff and just, trying different things. And
did you just like buy it from the butcher or just order it?
I ordered it from this company. It's got amazing reviews, and it's used for cooking a lot, obviously, but but I've been using it as like a face moisturizer, and it's been phenomenal, honestly, for me. So, okay. What are your thoughts on beef tallow as a
skincare professional?
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. That's the first one. I've heard a lot of different things. I've heard people exfoliating their face with like the nail polisher.
Whoa.
Hurt my heart. Different oils. Most of the time, different oils, but not fats.
So are fats good for your face? I know there's going to be people who are going to say yes and say no, but what do you think? Thumbs up on the beef tallow?
No, I probably wouldn't give a thumbs up. And though, during the COVID, when there was a lockdown and everything, and I didn't have salon job for a little bit, I did start at a smaller company on Etsy, and I was making natural products, which one of those were soaps. And soaps, the base of it, you need to have either oils or fats. So there are a lot of soaps that are made with the beef tallow, and it's amazing ingredient for that.
Are they facial soaps too?
You can technically use it, but
see, we're getting back. We're getting back
wait, there's a difference. There is a soap base
full circle
that breaks down the fats of that, and it makes it like more foam, more leather, and stuff. Like different. It's a different process. I know you try to convince me at that, but you won't. So at that point, it's technically like it's good for your skin because it's much softer than industrial soap and stuff like that. But the downtake of the soap is that you don't want to use it on the face because it has alkaline. It disbalances your pH of the skin. And men don't care much about it because their skin usually is great no matter what you put on them. And the thing is...
You think so?
Yeah. It is true. And the reason is because women's skin vary based on hormones.
Yes, but also all this shit that women put on their faces these days. Come on. That's another hot take.
I mean, you put a lot. Yes.
Like makeup and all that stuff,
Makeup. Yeah. You put different things that people on the TikTok put. Like, I was just recently talking about.
Like beef tallow. No.
I haven't heard of beef tallow, but there was something worse.
Yeah.
There was worse.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. Do you get chased by the dogs early to lick your face? Do you have a dog?
I don't.
So maybe that's why. That would be funny though. Okay, well that fact definitely got under my skin a little bit. I appreciate it. I'll remember that one. Would you be willing to give something to our audience if there is somebody is in the startup?
Yeah, so I think if you do own a spot and you're interested in potentially working with us at Patient Engine and working with me directly, I'm giving away 3 1-hour strategy sessions to anybody that comes on and signs up with us. I don't do a lot of one-on-one coaching anymore, but that's something I would be willing to do for any of your audience. I think it's super important to be able to have support and, really have a cohesive growth plan when you're wanting to grow your business. And, as a marketing strategist, but also somebody who owns a spa, I feel like you have a pretty good roadmap for that.
That is very good gift. I really appreciate it. I hope somebody will reach out to sign up, because it seems like your marketing agency is definitely worth looking into it.
Yeah.
I really
patientengine.co, not .com.
Before that's another thing that I wanted to ask you, and I almost forgot, because I'm not going to lie, I did listen to your recent podcast that you had, and you were talking about your company changing some things.
I honestly, that wasn't recent. I need to
update that.
I need to update that. Yeah.
Okay, I guess the most.
But yeah, so you at Neal Karski, NEALKRSKI is my handle on IG, and I'm on there pretty frequently. Company's called patientengine.co, not .com, /new clients if you want to opt in.
And you do not change the name anymore.
Intro call. We decided not to change the name for now because we've built a pretty good brand in our industry. We are going to do a little brand refresh. But spa is called Iconic Spa, iconicspa.com. And we're also going to be launching our own podcast too, which is filmed here, called Aesthetics Millionaire Show. And that, I think we have 4 or 5 episodes, and we're going to film a few more and get this out hopefully here at Q4. So stay tuned for that. There's no handles there, but it's going to be awesome.
That sounds pretty good. Maybe one day I'll be there too.
You will.
Well, thank you so much, Neal. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget, like, subscribe, and the little dingly thing.